Charlie Speer, and I'm head of the Speer law firm and specialize in protection of private property rights and primarily in rural America. For 20 years I represented corporations in environmental administrative acts and that sort of thing. And 3 farmers walked into my office one day on the 19th floor of the downtown office building in Kansas City and told me their story, and I thought it was a compelling story, and we ended up taking on their case, and it ended up being the leading Clean Water, Clean Air Act case in the nation.
Okay, what was their story?
Well, they were upset about the large hog farm that had been built near their homesteads.
Were they hog farmers themselves?
No, although some had raised hogs in the past, and in prior generations, they were all multi-generational farmers. Been there long before the hog farm came. And this was kind of before any of the mega hog farms had started. These are 80,000, 100,000 hogs in one spot basically, and people weren't prepared for it. And when they come in, when the hog farms come in, they tend to misrepresent the extent of the odor and other environmental problems. But people are now alert to the issues, such that if you hear 80,000 hogs are coming in across the street, there's a whole network now to jump in and help you oppose it.
Okay. So how many years ago was that you took on this case?
It was in 1995. I remember it well.
Okay. And you said it was the leading clean water case in the nation. What does that mean?
Well, EPA joined it on our side, and we were starting to make law that was actually making some of the clients at my big law firm, former big law firm, concerned. And we ended up with a consent decree that, for the first time, subjected rural America to certain of the Clean Air, Clean Water Act provisions. And they even passed a law in Congress to really take the steam out of the decision, if you will.
So they tried to undercut what you ultimately accomplished?
Absolutely. And there's been a study underway called the NAME study, where basically industry with the government is trying to quantify the level of emissions coming off of hog, chicken farms, hog and poultry farms. For example, how much ammonia, how much hydrogen sulfide per chicken, per hog, and we think it's a flawed study, but we expect we'll have to attack it.
Is that the one that Purdue and Iowa State are leading?
Absolutely, and the head of the program is at Purdue, and he was an expert for the defendants in one of our cases. Al Heber, and his testimony is partly what led to a big jury verdict that we obtained. It just wasn't credible.
So you say Al Heber's work is not credible?
Correct. To be charitable, he's very busy and relies on others for some of his work. For example, in our case, he relied on the company to determine where his testing locations were to be set up. And we determined through the discovery process, which is where we ask questions, get documents, that the place where he set up was near barns that had been emptied. So he was testing empty barns. Probably got the data the industry or the defendant hog farm was looking for. But we were able to discredit it.
Yeah.
In our preliminary review of the NAME study, we see the same kind of problems being repeated.
But certainly the underlying issue to come up with a valid measurement of odor needs to be accomplished to sort out these issues in an equitable way, right?
Yeah, absolutely, but it's much more complicated than one would think. I often tell people I didn't go to law school with the dream of being a hog poop expert, but here I am. But it's actually a fairly complicated soup of chemicals and so forth in the odor. There's over 167 compounds in hog odor that we know about. Some of them are very difficult to test, and some of the stinkiest ones are in very minute quantities that are almost incapable of being tested. The human nose is the best instrument we have to detect odor.
Do you think that because a farm is large, it automatically means it's impossible for it to be well managed?
Not at all. And some of our farmers, some of our clients have large farms that have been in the family for multiple generations, and sometimes are the leading citizens, if you will, in their locales. And you know, people accuse me of being anti-farming. I'm anything but that. All my clients are farmers, and so I believe I'm supporting farming. And the large corporate farms are not careful about where they site these operations. They just put them in wherever they can get the local politicians to turn their heads, if you will.
This is a definition that always makes me a little uncomfortable, the large corporate farms, because I've certainly met so many farmers that multi-generational farmers that start with an operation in one way, and it grows with this industry being incredibly competitive and monopolized in a way, but forcing a lot of people to get big or get out. So again, when we say the large corporate farms, does that include these people that need to expand their operations to stay in business?
Not in my view. Obviously, there is consolidation, increased concentration in rural America with the larger farm equipment and so forth. You can farm larger plots of ground, and it's just gone that way. It's more expensive than it was 20, 40 years ago to buy equipment, buy land, buy seed, for example. But these concentrated animal feeding operations, I mean, there's so many things wrong with them. It's mind-boggling. And once the public hears what's wrong with them, they'll understand the problem.